Hello everybody, I am Ben from Team Panic. It is time to talk about how Exilis, my 150 gram mammoth style lifter, performed at ARC's September meet. As with the last video on the September meet, the pits are down for the entire event, so if that is a thing that bothers you, maybe skip this one out. But moving on through, we're going to talk about how Exilis did. I will also quickly say that we adjusted the actual angle of the front armor here, so I was basically losing a little bit of weight so I could put a proper battery in. It didn't work, and all that happened was the front angle was changed just a little bit, just the geometry out the front here before we headed into our first fight, which was up against a robot called Front Flip, which, as you might imagine, is a front-hinged flipper. Well, that fight was short-lived. Front Flip did a very, very good job there of getting me up on their flipper wedge and driving me right into the right spot to get me in the pit. They did try a little flip up against the wall in that footage, but I was up against the wall, and yeah, Exilis here is a bit of a gangly old robot, and you really can't flip it into the wall per se. So yeah, unfortunately they didn't get that, but of course the pit was right there, and so we went down the pit. What is interesting is this fight and the Not Enough Side fight happened basically back to back. So I had this fight with a very, very quick loss, and then I had a very surprising win with Not Enough Side. So I was just a bit confused as to what was actually going on at this particular event. But again, it was very well driven by Front Flip to do what they did. Next fight up is up against a robot called Pushover. This is one of the lone bots, and it is driven by a young driver who I think it was their first ever event. So that actually went pretty well early on. We stacked them up against the wall, but of course Pushover was designed by Steve, who we've fought in a bunch of other competitions, who always makes sure that his robots will roll back over from a stack, and that is of course exactly what Pushover did, and managed to get back down and then shunted me against the wall, which shouldn't have been an issue except for the gangly nature flipped over Exilis here, and the change that I made to the front wedges, even though it was only a small rounding off of this front wedge, suddenly meant that the wheel couldn't touch the ground at all anymore, which is bad, basically. It's very worrying, and it also means that we couldn't drive, we couldn't do anything, we were full-on stuck. So yeah, that tiny, tiny little geometry change messed up this entire robot. And we lost that fight based on that, which is wild. I had no idea that such a tiny, tiny change on these front wedgelets was going to do that. And in actual fact, I'm thinking, given how badly this is right now, we might even trim these front wedgelets entirely down so that the wheels are the thing that stick out the furthest. At the moment, these wedgelets are the way they are because it's a clone of Mammoth, and Mammoth needs to guard its wheels, so it does this type of thing. However, in the non-destructive B League category, I don't need to be as careful with my wheels. These Pololo wheels that I'm running on here should survive a hit or two on their own, so I think we might just snip these down and get rid of all of that so that next time we get thrown over on our side, or in the next event that we get thrown over on our side, we can actually drive and survive that, because that is an important thing to do when you're fighting a combat robot. So 2 fights into our 3-fight round robin, and 2 losses deep, we are finally going up against a robot called the Force. This robot is also built by Steve, but actually driven by his son Owen, and is a 4-wheel drive spinner. So well. We were bullying him early, getting some nice flips in, getting some good engagement with the weapon. Everything was going good for us. And then we managed to do a thing that I didn't know Exilis was capable of. We got a suplex, managed to grab him by the O-ring band that he uses as kind of a tank tread, kind of a drive belt, and we managed to grab him by that and throw him over top of the whole robot, but in doing so, landed on our side. And again, the new geometry of these front pieces killed us, and we got stuck there and couldn't do anything. So we were in control of that fight. That was our fight to lose, and we lost it. So at this point, we are out of the round robin game. Exilis has had the exact opposite of not enough side in this event. Not Enough Side went straight through its round robin, winning absolutely everything. Exilis went through its round robin, losing everything. And really, it is like millimeters of front armor, which is the difference here. I mean, those millimeters of front armor wouldn't have saved us against front flip, but every other fight, they probably would have helped. And, you know, sometimes making a very quick on-the-fly change at an event is just a bad idea, as it turns out. You live and you learn, hey? So, with us out of the round robin, we don't move on in through to the finals, but we do go on through into the B-League Rumble. you look at that. We did pretty well in that rumble, but the thing that I care about the most is that this weapon system took a hit from a fairly powerful plastic spinner and survived. The flexible PLA that I used to make the weapon system up did its job admirably, and the brand new ABS weapon teeth held up really well as well. So I'm really happy with that. That means to me that this weapon system is good as is. I don't need to make changes to it. I think the only change I need to do is the on these front armor panels. It will, of course, change the look of the robot somewhat, but I think that's worth it to avoid that issue. The other things of note, of course, is Hiccup there being both our savior and our executioner at the same time. Hiccup is a blip-style flipper done with a YOLO drive, actually, without the clutch mechanism that Blip itself uses. It's a awesome build, and Steve has dialed that thing in beautifully well. It flips really reliably these days, and he managed to flip us back over onto our wheels when we were stuck on our side in the way we've been stuck all this way through this tournament. And then, of course, once he got us back over, we pushed the force into the pit, and he came and returned the favor for us. So, you know, these things happen, but hey, we got a little bit more fight in there because of Hiccup. So, massive thank you to Hiccup for that. Anyway, that is going to be it for this event now. That was short and sweet with Exilis because of those very, very quick losses. But, you know, sometimes that is what happens when you fight combat robots. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed that one, and I will see you in the next video.